All right, it's April 25th. This is our weekly Big Gold Belt podcast. I'm 2 Chains. I'm accompanied by Hill Will Mahoney and Giant Crab Jamal. What's up, fellas?
What's up, my
man? This may be our last podcast ever because tomorrow Infinity Wars comes out and Thanos, if done correctly, should wreak havoc and destroy this entire planet. So it's been a good run, fellas.
That could be troublesome.
Be a little bit more hype, man. Jamal's a make or break for this. Like if Thanos doesn't do what he's supposed to do, he may never watch anything with the word super in it for the rest of his life.
Except for the Dragon Ball Super movie in December.
Good point. I'm actually very hyped about that. I went to all the other premieres for IMAXs, and thanks to a lot of the US support is a lot of the reason why they wanted to do the Super Series in the first place. So yeah, and I'm repping, so you know what it is. But outside of Infinity War coming out this week, we do have the WWE Greatest Royal Rumble. There's a lot to talk about there as far as implications, as far as storylines and stuff. After it's probably some talking about the bookings within it, and just in general. Maybe a little controversy around it and hypocrisy with the WWE. So we're going to start off on a positive note first off, and it is a 50-man Royal Rumble. We talked about the Greatest Royal Rumble a little bit over the past few weeks, but since it's this Friday, we're going to dig deep into it today. It is a 50-man Royal Rumble, and there has been names already announced, such as Apollo Crews, Shelton Benjamin, Sin Cara, Elias, Chad Gable, Goldust, Titus O'Neil, Mojo Rawley, Dolph Ziggler, just to name a few. Also people such as Chris Jericho, and who will be making his return, and Kurt Angle to step back in the ring as well. So just from the names that's either been rumored or the names that has been already been announced, who are you guys looking else forward to or expecting to be in this, or has some of your people you're looking forward to seeing how already been announced?
Well, I guess I'll start first and say that the only person that I'm looking forward to, and if they're not there, it's a damn shame, but I need Maven to not only come back and win the greatest Royal Rumble of all time. If there's anybody can do it, it's Maven.
That's your second Maven reference in a week. So
what can I say? He's one of the greats.
Now, does he need to do it by drop kicking Undertaker over the top rope?
He'll drop kick and eliminate every single person that way. He'll have 42 eliminations, all via the drop kick.
Our Charlottesville boy Maven from down here in Virginia. He might. Who knows? It seems to be it's all hands on deck for the Greatest Royal Rumble. I mean, today they just announced Rey Mysterio and Great Khali showing up too.
Did they really?
Yes, they did.
Wow.
They did early this morning. I mean, like I said, it seems to truly be all hands on deck for the Greatest Royal Rumble. They're making everybody go over there, unless you're a woman.
Mark Henry's in it also.
Yep. Pretty much, if you have a pulse and you're a male wrestler, you can be in the Greatest Royal Rumble.
Wow, that's a shocker. I was actually going to say I was wondering if the Great Khali was going to be in it. So that's interesting to know. And I was looking at some of the trial videos, and those guys look poised to be able to put on something and to contribute something to this. So I'm expecting more than just maybe one or two. Maybe we get about 5 of those trial people within it. Maybe even start a little fraction or something. But somebody I want to see, because Khali was going to be my pick there as to, you know, he should be in it, but I don't know. Maybe Santino Marella. I can see that being interesting. Maybe he comes out as a girl and then actually, you know, ends up getting his clothes ripped off and, you know, become a male, and it's like, oh, he's cool, type of thing.
Or he comes out as a girl and he's immediately stoned.
Oh,
to death.
Poor Santino.
Allegedly.
I will say without a doubt that the and this is going to be the theme of tonight as well too. The money's being spent. I mean, they're pulling all guns to get like everyone and anyone. around or, you know, has any significance in WWE at this event. Like, it's without a doubt not the greatest Royal Rumble because it's 50 people, but because legitimately this card is potentially can compete with what SummerSlam maybe be able to put on, and maybe like second tier right under WrestleMania. I mean, everyone's here without a doubt, and it's not even like no speculation or if the Undertaker's going to be there. He is there, and he's in the match, and it doesn't even matter who is against. Like, it's just incredible to see how they're able to put this all together. Anyone else? I mean, granted, we've only named about 20, 25 people. There's still another 25 that has to be in this. Do we see? I mean, it doesn't look like NXT is going to be there. Just based on travel plans from what it looks like from their social medias. But do you think a lot of the champions are going to do double duty?
Probably a good chunk of them will. Now, I don't think we're going to see Brock in there, and I don't think we're going to see Roman in there, and probably not AJ and Nakamura. But I can see like the secondary people and like the tag champs, that kind of stuff. I mean, they got to get to 50 names, so I could see people like the Usos in there. I could see people like the Bludgeon Brothers in there. I mean, as many people as they're bringing over for that show, I could see the lower level people definitely doing some double duty to get that number to 50.
Yeah.
Well, I think the interesting thing is going to be the booking of the card itself. If you have the Greatest Royal Rumble close the show, and then before that you have Rusev versus The Undertaker and Triple H versus John Cena, then theoretically, and Brock versus Roman Reigns, I guess. But anybody else, you know, in the undercard could potentially do double duty. I mean, the show starts at noon Eastern, 7 o'clock local time, and they're saying that the event is going to be somewhere around 3 hours. So we're not expecting the undercard to have the 20-minute long classics.
Did you say 3 hours?
I'm hearing 3 hours.
Yeah, they're saying 6 last week.
I was going to say I was hearing 3, but then I started hearing 6 too. Yeah.
I'm sure it's on the network schedule right now, so I'm going to take a look. I was hearing 6.
Yeah, I was hearing 3 initially. Then I started hearing 6. They're going to have a kickoff panel and everything. So, I mean, look, a regular Royal Rumble is booked pretty much around an hour's time. 50-man has to be around an hour and 50. Let's see, John Cena and Triple H, that can be probably 10 minutes. I mean, but then it's not even really just the match. Do you really expect
the Undertaker match to go 30 minutes long?
Yeah, not after he just did 2 minutes at WrestleMania. That's going to be quick.
He did 3 solid minutes at WrestleMania.
It's blocked out for 6 hours, 12 to 5 Eastern. On the website officially.
That is horrendous. I mean, I honestly think that the Royal Rumble match itself is going to go a good 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Like easily 90 minutes.
Even if they did 1 minute entrances, it'd be like intervals would be 50. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, if the old Dominion Rumble had 30 persons in it, and that was like a good 45 minutes long, then I couldn't imagine a 50-man match.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and then it is what it is. I don't know this, and maybe the answer is out there. But what's the point of the Greatest Royal Rumble? Is it for anything?
There's a trophy.
There's a trophy. I mean, look, let's just get this out there. Nonetheless, this is a network special, which means this is a house show on steroids. Point blank, they can give it whatever name they want it to be, and all the graphics in the world, promotion, et cetera, et cetera. It's a glorified house show. That's within royalty, obviously, and nothing more, nothing less. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more, but I think the trophy suffices. But implications as to the big 4/5 pay-per-views for WWE. I just don't have enough willpower and creative to be able to handle that correctly. And on top of that, I think that if they did decide to pull this into other things, it's kind of a bias because then you don't have you don't give the women an opportunity to reap or to be able to reap the same benefits. this whole last year and a half has been all about WWE breaking down the barriers and equalities with having the women's Royal Rumble, the women's Money in the Bank, the women's Elimination Chamber, et cetera, so that, you know, if that, you know, if this actually did give, you know, the male participants an advantage towards something, you know, it just kind of like it seems not fair. So I think, again, I think the trophy does work, and it just be that. And other than that, they're going to have one hell of a time in Saudi Arabia this entire weekend. This is on a Friday, so once this is done at 12 o'clock at night on Friday night, it's going to be a grand old party to that winner. You know, at the end of the day, you have to imagine the people who personally funded this to make sure that got this done is going to make sure that their hand chosen winner is well within their arm's reach the entire weekend, as far as their festivities and everything, to be able to hold that trophy up and so on. So, you know, a nice good vacation for them, and all the perks that comes with it. But other than that, Royal Rumble is really pretty much filled with a lot of mystery or returning stars, and a lot of people have already been named. Do you think we get those type of gimmick entrants in this as well too?
I got the feeling that, since, I mean, if they already got Taker out there, they got Cena out there, they got Triple H out there, like you were saying, this is very much like the biggest house show of all time. Forget the greatest Royal Rumble. It's the greatest house show of all time. It's so weird that they're doing like Cena and like Triple H and like Undertaker and Rusev, and there's like no build for any of it. They're just random matches that are just happening with huge names.
Yeah.
To be fair, when was the last time they built an Undertaker match?
Heck, they couldn't even announce the WrestleMania one until that night.
You're right about that. It definitely takes 3 weeks of the other person trolling him on.
No, but I mean, seriously, like Bray Wyatt, you know, carried that feud by himself.
Yeah, he did.
And then whatever happened the year, I think that was the year Roman won. No, it was 2 years later Roman won. I don't remember how the year before that. Somebody Brock beat him, I think. So that was, I mean, it's just like they throw the Undertaker out there, they ring the bell and have the lightning come down, and then everybody gets hyped for it. They don't really need to sell an Undertaker story anymore.
Yeah.
And John Cena versus Triple H, that's not something that you can really build for anyway. Yeah,
no, absolutely true. Yeah, the Undertaker is just a pawn that you insert into something that needs to fill a void. The other person has to do all the ring work and appearances, and Undertaker just comes. And if that's what it is, that's what it is. So yeah, you're right. I mean, did it ever? Actually, if you want to consider this, that's amongst one of the most legit matches on this card, considering that some of these rematches doesn't make sense, and or, you know, with people being on different brands, you kind of can predict like how that's going to go. But yeah, someone wanting to fight the Undertaker, Lana tweets, Rusev gonna crush, and yeah, that's about as legit as Bray Wyatt in the past and John Cena this year. So, do you think? First off, do you have anybody that you think? Who do you think is going to win? And do you think there's a need for anyone to win out of this?
Nobody wins.
Nobody has to win it. I will say that I think there's one constant in wrestling for sure. If there is a trophy involved, the trophy must be destroyed. The trophy cannot remain intact.
Yeah.
So a scenario I heard getting kicked around that I think makes a lot of sense is you could do a very big feel-good moment and have Daniel Bryan win the Greatest Royal Rumble, only to have The Miz then come out and ruin his moment and wreck the trophy. Which fits perfectly into like what they got going on currently. And I mean, you could do that with tons of people on the show. There's tons of like scenarios where you could have like a babyface win it, and then their rival comes out and wrecks the trophy. So it doesn't have to necessarily be Daniel Bryan and The Miz, but the heat would be damn good for it if they did.
Yeah.
Do you think that Saudi Arabia is going to give to the traditional heel heat type of in other words, do you think they're going to give the same responses to different to people's characters as we would do here. So do you think, in other words, like Jinder will probably be cheered as we boo him?
Why would Jinder be automatically cheered?
I mean, we had this argument months ago where it just seems like only certain crowds here will boo him, but anybody who legitimately looks at his character is somebody you should get behind.
But why would Jinder specifically be more likely to be cheered because he's in Saudi Arabia?
No. I'm not saying him in particular. I'm just saying for that instance, do you think that there's going to be anyone who gets that dynamics where we boo them, but they would cheer them? Considering, their different cultures and stuff, their different culture and stuff. Do you think that?
Well, no, because I think that if they're, for whatever reason, there's enough fans of WWE in the Middle East and North Africa, specifically Saudi Arabia, where the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia said, "Bring it. Here's the truck. We're going to fill it with $100 US dollars, and we're going to ship it over to Connecticut. And in exchange, you're going to do whatever you do to keep these people happy. Okay. And it's going to be the greatest thing ever." With that said, I think the WWE crowd is hip enough over there to be up to date with the storylines and cheer who they want and boo who they want. I think if they were to have it in England, where it's just a lot of sparks in the crowd, I think that'll help. I think the Middle Eastern crowd will probably, because they have no homegrown talent to like for them, or that's automatically over. There's no Velveteen Dream in DC happening in Saudi Arabia. So I think it's going to be a pretty tame crowd.
Okay,
that's going to go pretty much the way the McMahons want it.
Okay.
Now, if they tried that in Australia, they tried it in England, they tried it in Ireland. Well, we know how Raw happens when they go to London.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. You have anything to add to that, Will?
Yeah, I mean that's what the McMahons are banking on with the whole idea of delaying. We're assuming giving Roman Reigns the title on Friday is that they want to do it in front of a crowd that they think is going to be more favorable to what they're looking for. And I don't know, there might be something to that from what I was seeing this weekend when they the Raw roster went through their tour of South Africa. It seemed like Roman was getting a much more favorable response over there. So that whether that'll continue on Friday, I don't know. But I think that's what they're hoping for, that for one night he's gonna get a good response and that the crowd will not be pushing back against the agenda and the stories that the McMahon family wants to tell. I don't know. We're going to find out on Friday.
Yeah.
Yep. I think the one positive that comes out of this, and there's a lot of like political ramifications that are involved, and that is what it is. The one positive is that the rest of the world gets a pay-per-view worthy event in a time zone that is palatable for them. If you're in England, WrestleMania starts at midnight. If you are in the Middle East, WrestleMania starts at 5 in the morning. If you're in Australia, it's already next Thursday. So the rest of the world gets to experience WWE live, and we have the minor inconvenience of taking a long lunch break. And I do think because WWE is so omnipresent in North America that we have the ability to keep up with things, and we know where the house shows are. We can follow it in real time versus Australia or the Middle East where stuff happens in the middle of the night. So I think they're just happy to be there for the most part. And also, they also honestly could be fans, legit fans of the product, because they do see what the TV product is and not what the house show product is. They're not following these guys on the independent circuit as closely as North Americans are.
So with the success of this, do you think that this is the recipe for WrestleMania to happen overseas?
Specifically in more storyline friendly countries, probably, because the WWE gets the notoriety of doing a big event for a first time audience, and the audience gets the notoriety of seeing a pay-per-view live at a regular time and not 2 a.m. Now, England has their independent scene and they can follow their guys and do their thing. Australia does too. I'm not sure what the indie wrestling scene is in the Middle East. Maybe they have it, maybe they don't. In China, their wrestling scene is pretty much non-existent. So I think a lot of this stuff, the only way they can ingest it is through the television. I guarantee if Kieth Lee, and we'll talk about a little bit more like that later, but I'm just going to throw his name out there right now. If Kieth Lee is an entrant in the Greatest Royal Rumble, I know that personally, I'll even speak for you guys too, we would pop tremendously wherever time would stand still if Kieth Lee came out as number 42 in the Greatest Royal Rumble. Would the Saudi Arabian audience know who the hell he was? They should, but probably don't because of their my perception of their limited WWE knowledge.
That's a fair point. Do you think that says anything about the U.S. crowd, considering that that they would actually consider going overseas?
Oh, well, would we go overseas to a big event? I mean, hell yeah. I mean, what's the difference between flying to Los Angeles for Survivor Series than flying to Denmark for Money in the Bank? I mean, I would do it because it's a different experience. That's
true. I mean, they definitely would run into some issues with being able to host in Saudi Arabia nonetheless. But the event is reportedly sold out at that too.
It's a 70,000 seat soccer stadium. I thought it was in a regular arena, but no, it's in a massive soccer stadium, and apparently it is sold out. So good. I mean, we're fortunate enough to have, especially in this area specifically, to have WWE come to DC proper at least twice a year.
Yeah,
and then they'll come to Baltimore if you're willing to go up there at least twice a year, and they'll definitely come to New York 3 times a year, and they'll definitely come to Philly at least twice a year.
That second place, no one's ever going, by the way.
Smaller town, and so on. This is the biggest thing they've ever had in the Middle East.
So you think that because of that, that's the reason why I sold out in what, 2 weeks?
You got to go. I mean, if you're a person in the Middle East, and you are a fan, you got to go. And I think we're having moments like that for us personally, where this indie star versus this indie star is happening, or it's this indie star's last match and stuff like that. I know that's why I'm flying to Toronto in June to see Jordan Grace up at Smash Wrestling. I know that's why I want to go to Survivor Series in Los Angeles, because it is about that moment that you got to be there. Got you.
That makes sense. Just trying to pull some information out of you guys. I knew you would have some interesting perspective. I think that for sure you make a compelling argument as to the untapped potential overseas market that WWE is diving in right now, and I think the response is becoming very positive. I think the sellout crowd definitely helps to spark more interest for them out there, and I think nonetheless, soccer stadiums, outdoors foreign soccer stadiums is going to be their next venture for sure. And I think this is just the only beginning of it. And I really, 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 really like your point about the timing of it being at 12 o'clock here, conveniently working for other viewerships around the world. I mean, if you push that to a 12 o'clock Sunday in America, I mean, that's easy for us to watch.
Well, I know that we talked about it, a while ago, maybe within the last 6 months or so. But I'm lobbying for WrestleMania in London, not because I love WrestleMania, not because I love London, but just because that experience would be potentially a once in a lifetime experience. We don't know if we'll have another one there.
And I think that excuse me, I think that with the NFL doing games more and more over there in London, it went from one game to
four or something now.
Excuse me. Yeah, it went from like the Jaguars and the Lions, like two teams they didn't care about. They didn't care about where they were traveling from and what their schedule was. But let's give London a game out there, and the response that they got, and then the U.S. travelers made their way out there to that saying, okay, let's take it up a tier and put a better game out there, and started at a convenient time for them. Let's look at the viewerships, and they kept getting a positive response to. They went from 2 games to 3 games going over out the country, to 2 being in London, 1 being in Mexico City, to them putting out the Patriots had a game there. So I think everyone's in the entertainment world is looking around at each other to tap into other markets, and I think the WWE is doing something very positive here on that note. You have something you want to add there, Will?
Yeah, no, and part of that also becomes when you run these markets like that you don't go to often, especially overseas. If you're running a soccer stadium over there, it becomes an event for that local market. So you're going to draw in people that aren't even necessarily wrestling fans that just want to be at the event because it's the biggest thing going on in that, city. And it never comes through there. So that's another thing where you're going to have a lot of people there who aren't even necessarily fans, especially with the situation we were discussing last week, how, they're pushing the idea of families attending. So it's going to be a very interesting crowd to watch how they respond to stuff, since you're going to have so many people that they're probably going to have never seen a ton of these wrestlers, and they're only going to know the biggest names on the show. They might only know like John Cena and that's it, or they might only know Undertaker. Yeah. So I think that's going to be one of the biggest stories coming out of it is what exactly is the crowd in Saudi Arabia like this Friday at the Greatest Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, they're bringing people over there that are household names. It's not like they're bringing over, Chavo Guerrero Jr. versus, somebody that would be a good match for me. I would love to see Chavo and Ray Jr. Go for 15 minutes. I would love to see, maybe not Disco Inferno, but I would love to see the Dudley Boys and the Usos in a tag match. I would love to see Kevin Nash and Scott Hall making an appearance, but realistically, is that relevant to the super mainstream audience in Saudi Arabia? Well, maybe not, but they're definitely hedging their bets with John Cena versus Triple H for no damn reason at all.
Okay, you bring up a couple of different things I want to touch on. Number one, who do you think is the biggest star going over there? Is it Triple H himself?
I think it's got to be John Cena.
Yeah, Cena. Okay. Cena.
Okay. Number two, do you think outside of this, do you think they're hosting any other events such as Access and other types of meet and greets? Have you seen any of that announced?
Personally, I have not. I know that there are a couple of other events, not an Access level, or it's like a SummerSlam Access level, which is a bit smaller. But I know that there are like, some after parties and stuff like that are going on in Jeddah. And I've read a couple of stories about, it's obviously they don't have a Super Bowl and it's not even on that level, but this is a major event happening for the city of Jeddah.
Yeah, they started arriving today. There's pictures going around of Undertaker meeting with people. So I'm sure they're doing any media they can be doing while they're there and taking meetings and stuff. So I'm sure WWE is going to be all over the place while they're there for however long they're staying. If they're getting there today, and just a matter of how long they're staying after the fact before people have to start getting back on the road for Raw.
Mm-hmm. Do you first of all, the Undertaker is probably loving this, considering that he's not being able to having to hide and be snuck through all entry points for his arrival and stuff like that. So people like him and probably Rey Mysterio, all the people that's been announced, is not a revealing factor for them. So they're able to just live in the moment. What was I about to say? That's why I say something else about from the designs that's been leaked out. Do you think that there's going to be a need for carts, considering that this arena style?
I think I saw a ramp. So,
yeah, I mean, they needed it for San Antonio and they needed it for Dallas, so I don't see why not.
That's my favorite interest, the carts. Like, bring the carts out. Could you imagine if they went old school WWE entrance with the carts, the floating ring carts? But they like bedazzled all the way out.
Do it.
I just hope they don't try to like get too cute and make it like in a flying carpet or something stupid like that. I'm not saying that to be that guy, but honestly, I do definitely see Vince McMahon, especially with the way that he's handled Jinder Mahal, especially with the way that he's mishandling Nakamura. Definitely see somebody come out there on a damn camel just because of Saudi Arabia. And they're going to say that, oh my God, this is the greatest thing. And of course, Michael Cole's going to put the camel over. But I really hope they don't do that.
If Braun Strowman doesn't destroy that camel, I don't know what else.
Camels want to get these hands.
All right. you know, we typically don't do this, but I'm gonna run down this card really quick, and I'm just gonna because my next question is basically outside the Royal Rumble, which we talked about. Every single championship is going to be defended. So we have Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal. Seth Rollins, your champion, versus Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and The Miz in a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. AJ Styles versus Nakamura in a rematch for the WWE Championship. Jeff Hardy versus Jinder Mahal for the United States Championship. Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy versus Cesaro and Sheamus for the vacant WWE Raw Tag Team Championships. The Bludgeon Brothers versus the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. And Cedric Alexander versus Kalisto for the Cruiserweight Championship. Out of all those matches, do you think that any of these championship changes hands?
Absolutely.
Considering it's a glorified house show, and unless it's Madison Square Garden, it seems to not happen. But yeah, and this is live too, so that's also something to add to this. But you both said absolutely. So what you got?
I'm assuming this is where they put the belt on Roman. I just can't see them beating him again twice in the same month, unless they come up with some kind of schmoz finish. But I mean, if they didn't do it Mania, and they're worried about the crowd, this is as good as it's going to get. So I'm assuming it happens here. And plus, on Monday, Brock Lesnar was noticeably smaller. He's already slimming down. So I think he's got one foot out the door, and he's ready to start training for UFC and get back down to 265.
Fair point.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But actually, I mean, looking at the matches that are on the line now, I definitely think Roman will beat Brock. I would be very surprised if he didn't, so that he can go and train and then maybe have a one-off at SummerSlam or something like that. We don't really need him now. We don't really miss him now. So, but if Brock wanted to come back, and basically Brock and the Undertaker on the same schedule, and they can come back at a moment and make a good show, a more interesting show. Also, I think Jinder Mahal beats Jeff Hardy. It has nothing to do with the geolocation of it. I just think that Jinder Mahal needs a belt to stay relevant. Jeff Hardy does not. And I think if they want to, this will be the antithesis of Roman beating Brock, because you don't have to like Jinder Mahal, but it is one of those shocking-ish moments that will make you say, well, I missed it. Damn it, you should have watched it. Because Jinder Mahal beat Jeff Hardy, and I do think that the Kalisto beat Cedric Alexander.
Okay,
on the pre-show match.
Oh,
if it's a pre-show match, I mean they haven't really separated it, but I mean I don't know. Okay, so basically, I do agree with Will with the Roman thing. And I do agree with you, Jamal, also with Brock being at with that wow factor whenever he's able to make an appearance, whatever. The Intercontinental Championship, I mean, I think Seth keeps it, and not only keeps it, but keeps it on Raw, considering that two of those people are on SmackDown. But to the Jinder point, I do agree with Jinder winning, but that would take the belt back to SmackDown. So if that's to happen, then I also think that The Miz is to win to bring the Intercontinental Championship back over. I'm sorry, it'll have to be a double flip. I'm getting this confused. Jinder would take it to Raw, and then The Miz would take it to SmackDown. Is what I'm saying. So it'll be interesting to see how both of those are booked. I think AJ probably wins here, even though I like the face chasing the heel factor here. Obviously the Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt wins, because why would you give Sheamus, who's on SmackDown, the Raw Tag Team Championships? So that's a no-brainer. But other than that, I mean, I think everything else is pretty much going to stay still. I think the Bludgeon Brothers win. I already said Hardy and Wyatt wins. I think Mahal, that could be interesting. I like that booking. He wins, AJ wins, and then I would say that The Miz wins there, and then Roman wins. So, what about John Cena versus Triple H and The Undertaker versus Rusev. Does Rusev have any chance in hell of winning this casket match? Any?
Not at all. Oh, that's gonna. I think the only question with that match is how quick is it gonna be? How fast is he gonna put him away? Considering how fast he put away John Cena at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I definitely see the Rusev trying to go for like a shoulder tackle or something. Undertaker low bridge in the rope, and Rusev goes over the top rope into the casket. Within about 35 seconds, closes the door, summons the lightning from the heavens, and the casket catches on fire.
Yo, if Rusev loses that quick, he wins the Royal Rumble. Straight up. And Rusev Day Chance goes berserk out there. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
That'd be the trade-off for sure. So. But look, I will say this. The interesting thing about whoever wins the Royal Rumble, they become like the Andre the Giant Memorial, where it's like, well, you have that accolade to be put next to you. So in this point, you look at Rusev, who I don't know when is he ever going to be in title contention. You give him the trophy, that's something to brag about to have on his shoulder. I think that potentially could work, considering that there's been a lot of why not him and always gender type of thing. So that could be interesting on that note.
Well, the problem with Rusev is that he's over. The Rusev Day thing is very real. And on SmackDown, I believe they have AJ Styles as your face champion. And on Raw, they have Brock Lesnar, like it or not, as your face champion. So it's not like Rusev has, nobody wants to see Rusev versus AJ Styles. Yeah. Nobody wants, I mean, not that nobody wants to see it, but they're not going to put two face champions together.
Right.
In a program, especially since Nakamura turned heel. So, I mean, Rusev, obviously, he did what you're supposed to do and grabbed the brass ring, and he got over. Good for him, except it's at the absolute wrong damn time to do it, because I don't see a world title shot in his future until they get either a heel champion or Rusev loses some steam.
Yep. All right, so outside of that, then, yeah, I mean, what other type of bookings you think comes out of this?
Well,
booking angles.
I mean, realistically, it's just a big ball of like, do we care? I mean, like obviously, John Cena and Triple H, Undertaker and Alexander Rusev are there as just attraction matches. They have no bearings. The Royal Rumble itself really has no bearings. It would be interesting to see how many titles change and to see where they go from that. But my question really is, what does this do for the actual Royal Rumble in January? Does this diminish the impact of the actual Royal Rumble, knowing that they can and will do a 50-man Royal Rumble for no damn reason? There are no title implications for the winner. And there's going to be a lot of, local guys that we don't know. And there's going to be a lot of legends that we did miss. But all in all, it's the Andre the Giant Iron Sheik Persian Camel Memorial Battle Royal Trophy. For funsies.
WWE just has to up the ante. I think being at a baseball stadium is the biggest intrigue about the Royal Rumble thus far.
75-man Royal Rumble in Phoenix.
Maybe they pull an intergender Royal Rumble. Who knows? But I mean, nonetheless, I think they did really good with the two Royal Rumbles and the pacing of it last year. So they're gonna take a look in this, and they just probably just have to up the ante a little with either maybe the returning legends and stuff is still the biggest wow factor, but nonetheless, still having the two is also very cool. But we're going, obviously. That's going to be exciting to be outside of that arena in Arizona next year.
Right. But that's again, the point of, Royal Rumble's at Chase Field in Phoenix in January. I know that I plan on being there because it's at Chase Field.
Yeah. Well, yeah, then that's part of the answer. Not only that is the beginning of the road to WrestleMania, and the winner does solidify their spot in the main event. So,
how hard is that? We didn't go to Royal Rumble when it's in Philly, like 2 hours away, but we're going to fly, 2,000 miles to Phoenix to actually watch the event.
Okay, well, on the retrospect, we definitely did. We were out there. And we looked at each other, and besides them only having like the ridiculous price floor seats, looked at each other like, time to go home. Not that it wouldn't have been a good event, but it's just like one of those type of things where it's like we kind of like pussyfooted to get like out there. It's like Philly's only 2 hours, but NXT is always worth the money, no doubt. If I'm going to go to the Rumble, we'll wait till we get there and make that decision. So it was not a sad ride home. I can say that much.
The January Royal Rumble is still the big Royal Rumble, regardless of whether it's 30 men or 50 men. It's still, like you said, it's the kickoff to WrestleMania. It also helps. Okay, it's April now. That's not till January. So we got 8 months in between. By the time Royal Rumble season comes around, people are going to probably totally forgot that this show ever even happened.
That's true. That's true. That's all the way true, actually.
By Backlash, we'll probably have forgot this show even happened.
You're right. And if this is booked so terribly, we definitely will. We definitely will. I mean, but it's going to be a good time. They'll get all the stars that they want to see and so on and et cetera, blah, blah, blah. And who cares? Because they got it. And that's just literally going to be our opinion if it's just trash. It's like, all right, whatever. That happened. But I will say, if you wasted 6 hours of your life watching it and it's just horrendous, peace be to you, because I do not know where that 6 hours fits in my schedule this weekend. To be honest, like I'm gonna be taking it in chunks for sure. I won't be skipping out lunch to see it. I know that much. So let's see what else we got. We talked about title changes. We talked about predictions and angles. Did you have anything else to add to that? Any angles y'all think is going to come out of this moving forward?
No, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it is a glorified house show, and it's not one of those things that you need to see, but you should, because and that's why it's on the network. If it were a real big deal, then they would have put it on USA Network or one of the NBC stations.
No, the easy answer is it would have been on Sunday. It would have been on Sunday, so that they really prided themselves on getting viewership, not on a Friday. I mean, easily a Sunday there or Saturday there. Matter of fact, all the other pay-per-views that have been like house show pay-per-view, Beast in the East and all that was on Saturday. So, you know, they could have easily put it on a Saturday if they wanted. The United Kingdom Championship was on a Saturday. So if they really... True.
But to be fair, that was like a weekend tournament, the United Kingdom Championship. Beast of the East was on 4th of July. So I think that had a lot to do with it. They knew that Americans would, be able to watch it by and large. And for Japan, it was just a regular Thursday. Yeah. What we don't know is if that venue is even available this weekend, because it is a soccer stadium, and they do that over there.
Oh, it's got there's no way they're taking it down that quick. So yeah, and on top of that, if they booked this date because they wanted this date, they booked that arena because they wanted that arena, and they probably got the arena the entire whole week if they wanted to run a Raw and SmackDown out there as well as if they wanted. They can alter a soccer game. Yeah, I mean, nonetheless, I'm just saying, I think that if WWE really was priding on themselves on saying, hey, we want to make sure our US fan base is able to be able to run analytics on viewership, that we want to make this on a better viewing friendly day, they would have did it, or they would have at least made an argument, sort of say, but this is nonetheless a hard Friday at 12 o'clock. Watch it on network if you want, whenever you got time, but they paid the ducats, and we're going at this time, and that's it. They even got a pre-show. So I think, this is supposed to start at 12. I'm guessing that pre-show starts at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time?
It does, yes.
Jeez. Oh, God, you slackers. I know you guys are going to be skipping out work to watch it.
No,
all
right. That's a hard no for me.
Yeah.
So I don't have this. I didn't have this originally. I'm going to tie these two, this topic that I did not discuss in pre-notes, and one of the topics that we did is that women not being included in the Royal Rumble card. We talked about it a little bit last week. We're going to bring it up again. But my other point is Triple H defending that and WWE being called hypocrites on this note. Did any of y'all actually have a chance to read Triple H notes about this?
Yes,
I did once, like 6 hours ago, and it was generally corporate BS.
What you got, Will?
Yeah, I mean, Triple H is towing the corporate line, which, I mean, that's his job. That's the role he's in. obviously they are not going over there and doing this event, and they are not going to sit there and try to be like, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't be doing it. If they're doing it, they're doing it. You know, I'm not for 1 second expecting them to act like, you know, they're not all in on it. They're not going to go over there and take all that money and spend days over there and then like be making public statements that they have an issue with it. If they're taking all that money, they gotta play the game, so to speak.
There was 2 puns in that sentence. I just want to let you know.
So I mean, yeah, I hate to say it is what it is, but I mean, for them to be in this situation, if they had a problem with it, they couldn't be going over there to begin with. Now that they're there, it's like they got to do it. But I do somewhat agree with his point that, you know, if you're going to be over there, you got to be at the table to have a voice in anything. If you're not even going to be at the table, then it's like you're outside. So I don't know. They've made the choice to be at the table, and heck, a lot of other companies in America have too. So they're going with the idea that in time things are going to change, and it is a 10-year deal that they have with Saudi Arabia to run these events. So this is just the first one.
Oh, that's new to me. Explain that more. What you mean with 10-year deal? Is there any more specifics on that?
I'd have to look up the specifics of it, but
if not,
because it's a deal with the government. It's
Okay, I have that.
Yeah, but it's a 10-year deal with the government there to run an event like this every year.
Is there specifics on it, or are we just?
I can read it right now from CBS Sports.
There you go.
While it's unfortunate, the women won't be competing on what it's being advertised as basically a secondary WrestleMania card. No. The hope is that there's change in the future, as Levesque addressed. This year's Greatest Royal Rumble event is the beginning of a 10-year relationship between the WWE and Saudi Arabia, and it would unquestionably be a monumental moment if, during this period, a change were to be implemented, allowing females to be included on the Saudi Arabian cards. It's not like these women are strangers to breaking barriers in the Middle East. So I understand. I think for him, he's definitely caught between a rock and a hard place. You know, the way we do things over here and the way they do things over there could be 75% right on par with each other. But there's some major differences, cultural differences, and it is what it is. However, to you, the fan that are listening to this right now, if you decide to watch the Greatest Royal Rumble, if you decide to partner with any of the companies that have partnered with WWE and patronize them, that partner with WWE for the Greatest Royal Rumble, know this. The WWE is a billion-dollar business. And sometimes you have to do what you have to do to keep the profits going. The Saudi Arabian government cut them a check and said, do the job. And they said, sure. However, what about the ladies? No, keep them at home in the kitchen. And WWE said, well, okay. If that's a problem for you, then you need to, then that should be a problem for you. And that's fine. But you need to deal with that yourself.
This sounds like the same group of people that were hashtag cancel the network. Sounds like they're getting ready to come back alive again.
No, I think that there's a real issue here with the WWE and them not allowing women to be on the card. I definitely think that it reeks of hypocrisy as we are in the middle of Stephanie McMahon's greatest invention, the women's revolution. However, on the same time, while they can do that and run an anti-bullying campaign and all these great like philanthropical things that they do on the corporate side, know this. Linda McMahon works for Donald Trump. Also know this. Women are not allowed to perform in Saudi Arabia. And they barely were allowed to perform in the UAE for similar cultural reasons. If that's a problem for you, then don't watch. Don't support it. Do something else. Because WWE is going to take the money every damn time.
Yes. WWE can have their front with, being involved with social causes or their women's revolution or all any of that. And that's all fine and good. And they're putting up a good front with that. But make no mistake, at the end of the day, they are a business. And at the end of the day, now they have stockholders. And if there's enough zeros on that check that they're getting from whoever it might be, they will look the other way and take the check with the zeros on it. It just is what it is.
Now, to be fair, I do agree with you, Will. And I do think that Triple H is right on one level that if this is a non-starter, and WWE could very well within their right and well within their bank book to leave that money on the table and do something else. They can go anywhere they want in the world because they are the WWE and do whatever they want to do. And it would be interesting to see what that conversation would be if they told the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, no women, no show. However, it's not about this right now. It's about the cultural, differences that they have, and that women should be allowed there. But if you burned your seat at the table, then you can't sit there anymore. So maybe for this one time, or twice, or over the next 10 years, it's a gradual thing. It is baby steps. And maybe as we talked about last week, where they had the family section, single women couldn't get tickets, but women and children could. And if women, children, and men could sit together, and they're definitely going to use that as a propaganda piece in the country to show how diverse the audience is and stuff like that. That they're not just whatever stereotype about Saudi Arabia you want to insert. That is how you get started. You have to start somewhere, and it may not be this year, and hell, it may not be next year. But if they keep going, the women will be too loud to ignore. So Rumble wasn't built in a day, and I think that this is a good start.
I like it. What do you think the women talent is doing in this time?
House shows, probably. I mean, like whatever they need to do. I mean, Raw it's not like they're doing this and taking 2 weeks off. No, Raw is Monday. So maybe the women,
back in Canada too.
Oh, are they? Well, they were in Hartford last week. So
yeah, they're going to
Canada makes sense.
Montreal for Raw and SmackDown. I tell you this: if there was a house show local to me and they said it was an all women's house show, guess who would be there? You want to talk about marketing? Yeah, you damn sure right. If that was their thing of saying the first ever all women's card,
yeah.
Absolutely,
I'd be down.
I definitely would be down. Considering that, we don't even get to see some of the legit matches out of some of the, their second tier talent on that roster, and you legitimately may be able to get a good 15 quality minutes match with them. That can be worth talking about. I mean, granted, I'm not even sure how good Dana Brooke may be at this point now, but if she legitimately had a decent match with some time, maybe wild about that,
We're talking about the women's revolution, and you said Dana Brooke in the same sentence. What's wrong?
I mean, who knows, man? Who knows?
Dana Brooke doesn't know. That's confirmed.
All right, let's get to other news real quick so we can wrap the show up for tonight. First off, we're going to start about Enzo Amore decided to break his social media hiatus, deleted all his Instagram posts, and put out this cryptic picture of a pair of Jordans hanged over an electric wire, which is synonymous for hanging it up or pretty much the end. And I believe the subtitle for it was "It's been a good run." And he also tagged the shoes as WWE. What do you guys make of this, first of all? And are you any of you guys sad to see him go? If this is him going?
Well, I think one of the stories that I read was that it is very near, if not up, his 90-day non-compete clause since leaving the company, which makes sense because I feel that we haven't heard from him in quite some time. So if that is the case, the real question comes down to is, if you're an independent company, do you hire this guy? Is Enzo Amore, the Bill Cosby of the wrestling world? And the indie scene is certainly not without its faults as it comes to controversy and controversial bookings after an incident, whether it be it public or private made public. But I don't know what you do with this guy, because he wasn't like the greatest wrestler to begin with. And I'm not sure how well his, the audience of the indie scene, they know what's up. So I don't know how well this guy's going to go over. based on the allegations of his story.
Yeah, I get the feeling if he is done and he tries to shop himself around, that's not going to go well, considering how we've seen things go for Rich Swann already and Michael Elgin. It's anyone with any kind of remote controversy, it seems, they aren't having a good go of it. And it's interesting because the Enzo story didn't really develop any further once he disappeared.
Yeah.
So, but I say I haven't heard anything about it. Also, not like totally like it's not like his name has been cleared, but
yeah,
I of course there's always the remote chance that maybe it's been cleared up and he's going to be coming back and this is all a swerve. I don't think so though. I get the feeling that the WWE but there was already rumors that he was on thin ice there before this happened. So I'm guessing he's done. It seems like it.
Yeah, that promo that The Miz cut as one of the last times that Enzo was on Raw, that cut deep.
Yeah.
Not because
was that a promo or was that just like hot fire?
That was a straight shoot, apparently.
Yeah.
And I do think that it would be interesting to see what Indie Federation takes a chance on him. And then, of course, this is just in the moment right now. Emma, or whatever her name, I think Tenille is what she's going by now, or real name. She's out there. She's doing stuff. I think she works with Ring of Honor a lot now. Realistically, that was a big to-do when she first hit the indie scene. And now it's like, okay, cool. So I think obviously time will tell. But considering the allegations that have not been cleared up, I don't really know if a company's willing to take a chance on him. And I'll just say this personally: if there is a company that is willing to take a chance on him, until allegations have actually been cleared, then I can't support that company based on what we know.
So, two things. Number one, it seems like his the controversy around him surrounds his personality. It seems to be kind of fitting in a sense because of the fact that people kind of blackballed him without, it even manifesting to being anything, where it seems like, hey, this seems like the shoe fits, so we're just going to go with that. The stigma is all around him, it seems like. And, there's been no resolution. And two, this does get clear, whatever it may be. I definitely don't see a future with him in WWE, but if he decides to go on the indie, excuse me. I don't see him not pulling one of those Emma moves where he's asking for this ridiculous price and all the comp that surrounds him as far as like, needs to be first class, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think nobody's going to take the chances on that, considering that, he's not really a good performer. But maybe he pops at WrestleCon for signings. That could probably be a draw. But other than that, unless this guy gets put in the Greatest Royal Rumble, I don't think he's getting any type of chance back in WWE for a while. But good luck to him in SoundCloud and Dat Piff for his new mixtape, because I'm sure that's going to be his next venture, considering that's what he did on his spare time anyway. And
is Dat Piff still a thing? That
is still a thing.
Damn, I'm old.
And I actually think that he cannot wait to run into TMZ. Like, I really think that's going to be his first interview.
You mean like he's chasing the TMZ tour bus through Los Angeles?
Yeah, so they can ask him, "Hey Enzo, what's going on? You're officially been released," et cetera, et cetera.
He just hangs out to the airport. "Hey TMZ, ask me questions."
Yeah, I'm almost sure that's going to be what's going to happen. But yeah, future endeavors. Good luck, sir. That's
or not, because I hear that he's just a massive douche.
Yeah.
The legal ramifications aside, I've not heard too many good things about this guy on a personal level. Now, obviously, it doesn't have to impact me because I'm not backstage yet.
Yeah.
But it's still to the point of, no, dude, what a dick. And he kind of deserves what he gets. And he went from the top, like revitalizing 205 Live. And honestly, if he didn't go, that show might not be on the air right now, to milk carton status.
That's a compliment in a way. But yeah, I think it's one of those type of things where it's like, this seems like the shoe fits. No matter if it's like, if he's guilty or innocent, this seems like this fits. And the fact that nothing else has come out of it, it's hard to really lean no way but your biased opinion about him as a person. So I think that's just what's literally clouding him. And I think 205 Live is heading in the right direction that will not miss him at all. And I think Drake Maverick made it very evident that they're not thinking about him coming back at all. Other topics I got really quick before we get out of here. Week 1 of the Superstars Shakeup has happened. Quickly, who do you think this has helped out the most, or not after week 1?
Well, it hasn't helped me at all.
I think how the shows ended this week. I going a week in here. I really like that they put Jeff Hardy separate of a Matt and Bray. I like Jeff Hardy as the separate deal on SmackDown doing his own thing. I'm really pleased with that. I think that could, assuming Jeff Hardy can keep his act together, I think there's a lot of things they can do there. Since they seem to be teasing stuff with him and Randy Orton and Shelton Benjamin, there's like that's a nice little mid-card feud there. That would be nothing but solid matches that you could run for a while. Mm-hmm. Let's see, over on Raw, of course, Samoa Joe is kind of, I was saying last week, I think he was the big surprise of the whole thing. And assuming Roman Reigns wins the title on Friday and Backlash then becomes a title match between Joe and Roman, that makes for an interesting scenario there with Joe being on SmackDown now, but it'd be for the Universal title. So, I mean, these next couple of weeks, you have this whole shaking out of they could move some belts around possibly if they wanted to between the US and the IC or the Universal. I mean, right? So we're really not going to have the rosters locked until Backlash is done.
That'd be interesting. That should be cool. Hopefully they do take that aspect with it. I think Friday definitely kicks it off there. I will say the Ascension coming on Raw did absolutely nothing for me. Like zero. Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, that seems to be picking up a little bit of momentum. For SmackDown, Big Cass, I mean, I was never a big fan of the guy, but he's seemed to insert himself into maybe a fan appealing feud with Daniel Bryan. We'll see how that goes. And who's not a winner for SmackDown? I don't know. No, everybody hasn't debuted yet, so we're still kind of in limbo with some of them. So, but I really think that Andrade Cien, when he debuts, is going to be a big deal, and people are going to want to have to try to keep up because even his his trailers about him coming, I think next week was more over than some of the matches or promos that was cut during the show actually. So, we'll have to see week 2. How's everything going? Got anything after that, Jamal? Or are we moving?
Well, let me because I just don't watch stuff. Let me ask you this: how do you feel about the trailers introducing new talent to the roster versus actual?
Hated it.
But how do you feel about that versus actual in-show messages being left? I mean, Sanity's obviously coming. They've spoiled it because they're coming. But wouldn't it be better to see like somebody attacked with like Sanity's emblem or logo left on them and nobody knows what that means, or
old school WCW?
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, what is this? And then Bischoff slowly turns around. He's wearing an NWO shirt. I mean, just do you think that it kind of like deflated the balloon of whatever it could have been? Because I've seen the promo for Sanity, and though I know what they are, if you have never watched NXT before, don't really keep up with it, they don't look like anything that different because the Bludgeon Brothers are already a thing. The Ascension's already a thing. And Braun Strowman was a thing with the Wyatt family, which is kind of a thing-ish with Matt Hardy. So Insanity kind of fits into that mold instead of being very different, which is what they are on NXT.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head with the right people. It's right now, if I had no clue who they were, I don't even know if their name is Sanity or Chaos. That's the big problem. But yeah, and considering that the moniker that they put on, why not take that angle of having them debut and attack, whoever their initial feud is going to be, or maybe not even just come out and attack someone else. I mean, they should have did what Baron Corbin did to No Way Jose. That could have easily worked, considering that there's already past and they work with each other in NXT before anyway. So there's chemistry that can, be reinvented. That was the easy way to go. So I mean, the simple answer to this is that I hated it. I hated it. Hated it during the shakeup. Hated it week 1.
That's kind of the big question for Almas and Vega, and for Sanity also, since they haven't debuted yet, but we know they are coming imminently. It's like, who are they going to pair them up with, and what's their role on the shows going to be? So whether we'll find that out this Tuesday, or if they maybe hold off something, maybe have one of them debut at a Backlash, who knows? I mean, that's the other thing with the pay-per-views being co-branded now. They could always do something there too.
Yeah, I really hope that Sanity debuts in the similar way that Elias Sampson debuted. He's the Drifter. He just wandered onto the set. He just started playing. Nobody knew who he was or why he was there. And then once we know who he is, then they integrated him, and now he's gone on to a different thing.
It's amazing. Like, I know nothing, because like that was the best thing that ever happened. I remember when he first debuted, I was like, what? Like did anybody see him over there? And it just worked. So like,
right. So I would love to see Sanity, like all of a sudden come out and, they're supposed to have a match, but what they don't tell you that the match is actually happening in the parking lot, and it turns into a thing. And just because Sanity is
the feels
about chaos, and they're about, all of the anarchy and stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean, look, if they don't wreak chaos, would they keep flashing chaos as if that's what they're going to be rebranded to? I mean, I'm lost. If they have a traditional like debut match,
right.
Like
how can you be like pro chaos and then have a very uniform entrance and a uniform match? To a time limit. I want to see like Eric Young just come out and wrestle a women's match just to fuck it up, because he can.
I'd be interested to see for sure. I move on to our last topic real quick. So former WWN champion and also a past guest to our show, Kieth Lee. There's also now again rumors of him potentially making his way to WWE. Okay, let's take a flashback. A couple of months ago, where there was hitting the dirt sheets that him and Walter were speculated on having trials and were going to be making their way to WWE very soon. And Walter kind of came out and said, "Nah, that didn't happen." Kieth Lee kind of was looking like he was going to make a big announcement on his Twitter. Never happened. Also made a cryptic message that he was going to. I'm sorry, he cut a promo at a promotion that seems to be kind of leading that way, as if he was going to say he was getting ready to hit the WWE. Never manifested because he was attacked, which was great actually. Moving forward to WrestleMania weekend, they both work access shows, which is a big deal considering the stunt that WWE pulled in pulling Progress and WWN top talent, having to work in front of a WWE crowd and being able to see, what type of reaction they pulled. And that's legitimately not just my thoughts, but Austin Theory, who I chatted with out there, was telling me the same thing, who is now currently the WWN champion. The title switched hands over that weekend. So it's just all great for good booking that they was able to take two people who's affiliated with that belt, who's also both been rumored to having trials, all together to see what the WWE fan base will react to him. So again, his name is being brought up again on the rumor sheets. And the simple question is, one, considering Kieth Lee, we all love him, a great style of wrestling, but I guess simply, what is your thoughts on this? And is this something that you're looking forward to seeing?
My assumption is that he's going. I can't think of what's left. I mean, what's left for him to do on the indies? He's this last year, since last year's WrestleMania, where he really blew up. Like, it feels like this year's been his year to shine. So I think he's there now. I think that's the plan. He did like kind of his big year going around the circuit collecting belts, and he dropped the PWG title last weekend. So now I think it's just a matter of how soon does he show up. I think it's the next natural step in his progression, and I can't think of anything else he'd be doing otherwise.
To add to that, I can't disagree with that. However, the Young Bucks and their crew and Joey Ryan have shown that you don't really need to do the WWE, the mainstream route, because Ring of Honor is a corporately controlled company too. People don't seem to realize that. But we are in a renaissance of independent wrestling. It is not a guarantee that you will be a success, but you definitely have more creative control over your success versus going to Impact, Giant Owl, or WWE. Now, as much as I love Hootie and as much as I tolerate the WWE, it scares the hell out of me to see Kieth Lee in the Impact Zone or show up on Raw and SmackDown. Obviously, NXT would probably be the better fit. But realistically, right now, the Kieth Lee that we know does not work on Raw. I don't think that it does. I think that he
wouldn't go to Raw
or SmackDown. But my point is that
SmackDown, right to NXT. There's no
obviously he's going to NXT and he'll be there for a year, then eventually go to the main roster. But my point is that I don't think that works in its current stage right now. And obviously, he's going to be whatever he can be, whatever he needs to be that guy and get over. However, we've seen it time and time again where the NXT darlings have come in and a very small percentage have taken their NXT persona to the main roster with great success. I mean, other than like Kevin Owens, I can't think of anybody recently that has just transitioned seamlessly from NXT to the main roster.
Right. Okay. I get it. So, I mean, long story short is that he's not main roster ready just based on just what the product is currently doing with the transition from NXT to the main roster, or currently what the main roster presents for his style of wrestling. But he's NXT ready. It'll be great. It'll be a lot of classes to be made down there. Dijak is still hiding in the shadows. Triple H, by all means, was down in Orlando and was like, what is this match I'm hearing about that is not at NXT, that is not at WrestleMania, and I need both those guys. So, I think he, a year in NXT, working with Aleister Black, Dijak, Ricochet, like all these people he's worked with all over the world with, it'll be great. So, if that's what's going to happen. Hopefully, he'll get down there. He's a very humble guy, so he's definitely be down there and learn how the system works and sort of say he'll make the best out of it.
He's had trials before.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm sure it's not like I think what what needs to be said, considering that I don't have faith in a lot of people's logic all the time, is that a tryout and you don't go to WWE doesn't mean that you did not pass it. It just means that we're interested in you. What are your obligations left? What are your expectations? Okay, we can do this now, or okay, come see us in 3 months.
Right? No, I mean, it was just like with any other sport. Like, hey, you did great, you made the team, but we don't need a quarterback right now.
Yeah, or well, not NFL, because if you fill a tryout there, then they let's say you see that person on the plane not coming back to that city for a while. But yeah, nonetheless, I mean, even, and I guess we can say this now, but even with Dijak, I mean, he had a tryout that WrestleMania weekend, and then he had the initial one, I think, in May that ultimately led to him going to WWE. So like, it's not like he bombed it and was just like, all right, well, that's it. It was like, all right, I need to fulfill these last dates, or I got a little bit more I need to do, or maybe they're like, oh, we're just not quite ready to introduce you yet. So maybe you can work, more dates, get all your things together, and then so on. Or it could be even weight issues too. They're like, hey, trim down a couple more pounds and come see us in 3 months. We'll be ready to go, type of thing. But I mean, look, great for the guy. More people need to see him. The Access crowd was definitely behind him. And for him to be able to get weekly televised Kieth Lee, nonetheless, if it's pre-recorded or not, or even have him tour around, since NXT seems to be branching out to different areas, I can dig it. I definitely can dig it. So other than that, any other news coming from you guys that you want to report on?
Okay, so real quick, and I'll go over this very, very quickly. Zack Ryder did not make the trip to Saudi Arabia because he tweets me. for Raw during main event, which is apparently still a thing.
What?
How is 205 Live on the ropes, but main event is alive and kicking? That doesn't make sense to me. CBS Sports had an interesting ponderance. Apparently, the Miztourage, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, Bo Dallas, another NXT great that is what it is right now on the main roster. Apparently, Bray Wyatt, his real-life brother, tweeted out to him and said, you know what? You need a person to lead you. Why not us? And that could be interesting to see Bo and Bray in the same faction for the first time that I can remember. So, honestly, they need something to do. I kind of like it. I kind of want to see that happen. The last thing is, of course, WWE had their Business Partner Summit WrestleMania weekend, and they talked a lot of numbers, and some stuff is up and some stuff is down, and that's fine. I mean, you can find that on their corporate website. One thing that was interesting is that George Barrios, who is like the CFO of WWE, he said that the company had filed a trademark for the words global localization. And so write that down. You're going to be hearing that a lot over the coming months. Apparently, WWE is very interested in creating customized programming for their worldwide partners in their native language and catering to programs to specific parts of the world using local hosts. They've already been doing this in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, rather, India, Mexico, Montreal, where they have dubbed versions of Monday Night Raw, specifically with their local in the local languages. So what is a great picture that I can't show you, but there's a great picture of Triple H standing in front of a giant map of the world with NXT logos over South America, over China, over Hong Kong, over India, over the Middle East. So this is kind of piggybacks off what they said last year, in that they wanted to see more of the world and create more talent. We've seen a little bit of that with the tryouts in India. We've seen a little bit of that with the tryouts here in Saudi Arabia and their Saudi Arabia's very own pay-per-view like event. But I think they're dead ass serious, and they are coming to take over the wrestling world. Hide your children.
Yep, I saw that map you were talking about. And it goes back to a few years ago. There was talk that essentially what they wanted to do is have developmental territories in different parts of the world. So like they already started up the UK thing that never quite got off the ground, but it's still obviously on their radar. Now they're doing stuff in the Middle East. They've already done China before and brought people over from China. Japan would be another possibility. It's, places where there's established wrestling scenes. And I think it's just a matter of WWE going in and taking the time to set up an office and probably a smaller version of the Performance Center, and obviously making the investment in running a small local promotion in these areas to develop local talent with that would essentially, create like a worldwide feeder system. I think it's something they've wanted to do for a long time. And it's, every year it's getting a little closer. Last year it was the UK. This year it's Saudi Arabia. And like this fall, they're going to Australia. I think they have their eyes on all these places to do this. And it's just a matter of how long it's going to take for them to get it up and off the ground.
It sounds like WWE is starting to run their business like a law firm, in that we know where the hub is, but they will have satellite offices around the world to distribute, to talent in that local area. So, in 20 years, we could see NXT take over China for the Chinese audience. Mm-hmm. And I think that's very cool. Now, conversely, what does that do, knowing that Walmart, as the Walmart of wrestling, is now coming to a town near you? What does that do for the indie scene around the world?
Yep, that was going to be my approach here. First of all, this definitely sounds like that WWE is going to be called WWE Genesis afterwards. And there's going to be one central location in Connecticut, and it's going to pretty much take over all the world. And eventually, we're going to be having robots, and everything's going to be destroyed. But no, nonetheless, it changes everything on the indie scenes, because for people who want to have to prove themselves from going from the UK to America, maybe you can just go next door and prove yourself there, and also get your fan base and be solidified, bringing in income and everything. So the traveling strain for the independent talent is will significantly drop for having to get their name out there. And considering that with WWE does come TV time, that's the way to go. You know, you want to talk about publicity and so on.
But I think hopefully there are a lot of teams around the world. There's a lot of wrestling that we just won't see because we can't.
Yeah.
But I do hope that on the good side of it, you know, it will get talent from around the world to the WWE faster.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting 10 years for business to development in the Middle East, you know, we can have a Dubai office and say, well, who do you got? Send them up. It would be interesting to do that. On the other hand, though, there is something about the local scene in other places where it kind of, you know, what do you want to be? Do you want to be the biggest guy in Scotland? Or do you want to be a big fish in a very big ocean that is the WWE? Yeah. And I think that that's going to change the landscape of wrestling as a whole. Obviously, and not obviously, but missing from that map, of course, is Japan.
Yep.
So New Japan has done exactly what WWE is trying to do on a smaller scale by opening up an office in Los Angeles and having a show in San Francisco in July, and tickets go on sale in May.
It would cost you $300 to go to, by the way, if you haven't looked.
Or $6
front row. For front row,
you gotta sit front row, but that's, you know, the poor ones. Me, $60 is how I'm getting it.
Yeah. Look, none of this matters, because if Thanos destroys the world, then all this is all for nothing. So who knows how it's gonna go? So well, anyway, do you guys got anything else before we get out of here for the week?
I think we covered the Greatest Royal Rumble backwards and forwards and any which way we could between last week and this week.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I never want to talk about the Greatest Royal Rumble again.
Well, only thing is now to do is to watch it on Friday. So you know, if you got 6 hours of your life that you can dedicate towards that, then go for it, you know. But yeah, for the Big Go Bell podcast, I'm 2 James. You guys are in your social medias, because I'll just let you plug it that way.
At Heel Will Mahoney on the Twitter and Instagram, of course, the co-host of the Snack Society, hashtag Snack Society, all day, every day. This week, we had a good double shot with our buddy Ed from the One Gated community at Nova Pro. We had the last of our WrestleMania videos we recorded with him, where he introduced us to Grapico, the grape soda of the South. That was one of the most sugary things I've ever tasted in my life. It was wild and pretty crazy. And yesterday, Brandon and Tony got out to a KFC to check out the new Crispy Kernel sandwich. And apparently they had a horrible experience trying to order that. Apparently they went to the worst KFC in town. So half the review is them talking about them banging their heads against the counter, trying to order the thing and pointing at it, and them still not understanding. So that's what's up with the Snack Society this week. The link is in my profile on the Twitter and Instagram to the YouTube page. Hashtag Snack Society always finds all the videos. That's right. It's your boy Heel Will Mahoney.
Right. That was a lot. But I'm very interested in the worst KFC, because I have 3 that come to mind. I'm looking at you, Rivertown. I'm looking at you. But I'm Jamal.
Yo, how is that joint even open still? I'm sorry. How is that open?
Oh, it shouldn't be open. It absolutely should not be open.
Didn't cars run into it like on numerous occasions in the past? Anywho, go ahead. Go ahead.
You know, jeez, that's the worst. That's the worst KFC of all time now. They put it in the middle of the exit ramp for the interstate, so cars definitely ran into it several times. Like once you came off 95, you were going to the drive-thru of the KFC. So, But yeah, you can catch me on the Twitter machine at Giant Crab with a K. No movies this week. I've been kind of under the weather, but I will be seeing the Avengers: Infinity Wars. If this is not the single greatest superhero cinematic experience of all time, this will be the last superhero movie that I pay for.
Well said. Well, that doesn't count because you get to see a lot of things for free anyway. So you want to rephrase that? This will be the last one.
No, this will be the last superhero movie that I pay for.
Okay, sounds good. Look, for everybody, thanks for tuning in for sure. You can catch all our weekly and past episodes. Step over to BigGoBoGroup.com and give us a shout. Interact with us. We definitely got some things coming up moving forward. We inching our way towards a very, very busy next few months with comic book conventions and so on. We got the Mega Towns Classic. We got Nova Pro as always. We got a 3-show 2-day Nova Pro event in June. I mean, it's just only picking up. So thank you for everyone for tuning in. Everybody has been reaching out to us for the feedback and so on. And we'll catch you guys next week.